All right, so over here on this side, we are hanging out with the 3 females of our pod of 5 killer whales. Currently in this pool are Takara, Sakari, and Kamea. And so as they make their way over here, I'll let you know who those individuals are. Perfect, and watch out right here on the scale. This is Takara. So she's actually the oldest killer whale that lives here. She is 32 years old, and she has a very important role within our pod. She is the matriarch. Killer whales are a matriarchal society, which means the females are in charge. And typically what we see within a pod is that it's the oldest female who is the matriarch. This is her daughter, Kamea. So Kamea and Sakari are both the offspring of Takara. Kamea there was the youngest, and she is therefore the smallest. And the behavior that you guys are seeing right now, Sakari is making her way over here. This is an incredibly important behavior. You might recognize it, maybe you've seen it before, right? So they come out onto the shallow area, they lift their head and tail, and yes, this gives you guys an amazing view of these animals. It's a great opportunity for us to share with our guests what these whales look like. But many people don't realize that this behavior serves a very important purpose in the care of these individuals, and that's because this is how we get their weights. So every single week, we make sure that we know how much each individual weighs, and that's very important information, just like it would be for you or I. So we ask them onto the shallow platforms to lift their head and tail, because believe it or not, right now how Takara is a great example. Take a look at the back end of her body. Her tail flukes are still in the water, and a pretty good portion of her peduncle, which is that whole region behind the dorsal fin. And in that position, if she were to do that on the scale, the weight would be off by hundreds of pounds. So to get an accurate weight, it's really important that we ask them for that head and tail up and out of the water. So you see this behavior perhaps in our presentation, but really need to know, right, inside look, that it's actually a husbandry or a healthcare behavior. Now, Carrie is actually going to ask for a really neat husbandry behavior. Check it out. Did you guys catch that? So Takara actually just peed in a cup. That's right. If you guys weren't quite able to see, Carrie went ahead and showed her a small sample cup. And that's just like you would see at the doctor's office. And then she asked her to slide out on her side, and she started urinating, and we were able to capture a sample of that urine. Now this is another one of those husbandry behaviors that we train. Husbandry is anything related to healthcare. And the key is that all of these behaviors ultimately end up allowing us to take the best possible care of these individuals. So again, right, we have to make sure that we're caring for them, their physical bodies, as well as their cognitive welfare. So there's a lot that goes into that. And just like you guys should be going to the doctor every year for your annual physical, right, just a checkup, just to make sure everything's staying normal, these whales have a monthly physical. Now we can't take them down to the veterinary office, right, so the vets come to us. We actually have a team of veterinarians that work with us. If you didn't catch it last time, looks like we're looking for another urine sample there. There we go. Now it's important that we maintain these behaviors. And then every single month we're looking at multiple things. Imagine just like when you go to the doctor, the different things a doctor might ask for. They're doing a physical exam, they might listen to your heart or your lungs, they might draw blood, take your weight. It really depends, right? And so for us, all of those behaviors, to be able to get from an animal that weighs thousands of pounds, it's important that they're conditioned to participate in that healthcare. So even what you're seeing right now with Pilot and Sakari, is that these are lineups. This allows us to do a visual exam, right? Getting a good look at their entire body. But it also allows us to get sonograms. So we do have an ultrasound machine that the veterinarians will bring over. And sorry, I'm just realizing, I'm pretty sure she's hanging out with Kamea. Yeah, she was upside down, I couldn't quite tell. As soon as she went right side up, I was like, that's not Sakari. But anyway, all of these positions are very important. So we can do an ultrasound or a sonogram of their lungs, or of their, pretty much any of their organs, right? Just like you guys, we want to get an inside look, there you go, of the whales. We're able to make sure that they're staying healthy internally as well. In that position where Kyron was touching her tail flukes, we can actually draw blood. So that's one of the areas where the veins are the most shallow because there's not as much blubber as there is on the rest of their body. And so all of these behaviors, we're going to practice every single day. The only time that they do these behaviors should not be when they're having their regular exams or in the event that they weren't feeling very well. So we want to make sure this is a very normal part of their life, something that they see all the time. And as you're watching the trainers, our job is to make sure that it's really fun for them, because these guys have a choice to participate. They have a choice to come over, hang out, and do as we ask. Here's another urine sample with Sakari this time. Right on her side, and there's the urine. Perfect. So that's why we didn't actually collect, because like I said, we're just maintaining that behavior. We're practicing so that when we need that sample, we're able to get it. And so the trainers make sure that when they choose to hang out, when they choose to participate and do the behaviors, that we're going to make it reinforcing or worth their time. And that choice is also very important for the care of these animals. So that goes into the cognitive welfare. Having choice and control over their environment is very, very important. We cannot force these animals to do anything. So we work really, really hard to build strong relationships that make sure that they are choosing to hang out with us, and then in turn that allows us to take the best possible care of them as we can. And I can go into more of that. I do want to remind you guys, you can come and go as you please. But while we're on the topic of these husbandry reviews and all these amazing samples that are able to collect, it is pivotal to the care of these viperials, right? That's our job, to make sure these animals are cared for. But a really amazing part of that is it is also helping their wild counterparts. There are killer whales all over the world, in all oceans, but some of them are facing major threats. The southern resident killer whales are one of the most studied populations in the entire world. And perhaps some of you have been there to see them. They're found off the coast of Seattle in the Puget Sound area. And unfortunately, they are listed as endangered. I believe they have 72 individuals left, possibly 74 as 2 calves were born this summer, which is very exciting news. But sadly, many of the calves won't make it past their first life. So we're all keeping a close eye on that and hoping for the best. But it's very hard to study any animal out in the wild environment, especially an animal that lives in the ocean. Finding the animals is difficult, seeing the animals is difficult, and absolutely obtaining any sample would be very difficult as well. So in order to protect this group of killer whales, we have to learn about them. We have to know information to be able to pass management and legislation to allow us to take the best possible care of them. And I have a great example of this, and that is one of the issues that this population is facing is noise pollution. Killer whales rely on acoustics pretty much to survive. It's how they navigate their environment, it's how they hunt, and it's how they communicate with one another. But I'm sure you can imagine living pretty close to a major port like Seattle, there's a lot of vessel traffic, and that actually equals noise underwater. Now, it was believed